Welcome back to stage 4. To the second part of the music recommendation topic. This one is called Future Casting, and there's a great team of 4 speakers that will be talking about technological development, what's up in research at the moment regarding recommendation algorithms, or new trends in how recommendation how we want to work it in the future. And the panel is organized by Erik Eitel. Erik, you want to come on stage? Erik is doing lots of PR in music and technology, and is also part of, or on the board of All Together Now, and had the idea for this panel and is also going to moderate it, I think. And so we asked the other speakers. We have Marie Heimer from Spotify. We have Amelie Anglade from SoundCloud. And Stefan Baumann, who is a researcher at the DFKI, whatever that's in English.
German Research Center for AI.
Yeah. Okay, but you will all anyway introduce,
we're going to introduce ourselves.
Yourselves.
Do a little intro round.
I look
Hello,
forward
thanks
to
for
a good
coming
discussion.
here tonight. No, it's not tonight, but feels like night. I don't have a mic. Oh, we need another mic. Excellent. Okay, once again, thanks for coming here. I'd say we do a little introduction round. Andrea just introduced myself. And I'd like to go on with Amelie about your role and what you're doing at SoundCloud.
Right, so my name is Amelie Anglade, and I am a developer at SoundCloud. I have a research background, so I come from academia, and I was doing a lot of music information retrieval, which is this field at the border between musicology, machine learning, and signal processing. And I joined SoundCloud 2 years ago, and since then I've been working on machine learning algorithms for all sorts of sound discovery.
Stefan.
Yeah, I'm Stefan. I'm heading a team of 10 people, and we are doing research about music recommendation engines and other stuff, but like 2 to 3 people work on music recommendation engines only. And I'm into this kind of recommender business since 10 years. So I have seen a lot coming, disappearing, coming again. So yeah, this is basically what is happening over the last 10 years and maybe the next 10.
He'll be the research geek on this panel. One of the research geeks. Marie.
I'm Marie Heimer. I'm working for Spotify in Germany, part of the team that looks after Germany, Switzerland, Austria. And my role is manager label relations, which means that I'm looking after the relations to our licensors. That means that I'm in contact with all the labels, all the indie labels, all the bands and aggregators who want to promote their records and releases on Spotify.
Yeah, so Marie will also give us some deep insight of music industry perspective on this whole recommendation topic that we're going to discuss today. Yeah, first of all, thanks again to Christian and Oke for this great introduction into the curatorial music recommendation. And since we are here for the rather techie part now, I'd like to start with a little postulation that we did in a paper before we actually handed in this session here. And what we said in this paper was like inadequate recommendations are the biggest hurdle facing commercial success of streaming services. So meaning, is this really still true, since we have some really new figures? For instance, Spotify has 6 million paying users by now. Deezer says it has 3 million. Music industry said there was like a big turning point in 2012, the first year of actually growth since 1999. So is this postulation still true, or do we have to just quit the panel at this point and say, no, recommendation is all fine and we can just go on the way we did before? So I'd say, where's the problem with this whole music streaming topic and recommendation? There are 20 million tracks in the systems. Why don't we just pick the track we like and off we go? Or where's the problem, Stefan?
I would say to give you the take-home message already now, so you can leave if you don't like it. The point is actually how you design the experience. So to say, we have all this wonderful data, like 10, 15, 20 million songs, wonderful, all for $5 a month, perfect. People craft all these front-end interfaces which you like, mobile, stationary, whatever. And sometimes there comes a good emotion into it because you are so happy that you find this rare tune and you can listen to it immediately. Sometimes there's bad emotion because some people just don't know where to start. So in the end, our goal as researchers, and for sure the goal of the guys in industry too, is somehow to shape this experience in a way that all these people will be happy. But this is difficult because as many people as we have here, I guess most of you have different experiences when you think about a good listening experience when using such services. And this is just a statement that maybe there is still a little bit to do. And as you can see on the slide here, we have this quote of the guy of Deezer, which is a huge streaming service. And he stated like, I think we have invented 5% of what could be invented to drive active discovery. So I don't know if he's talking about Deezer or if he's talking about the music streaming industry as a whole. But the quote is not so bad. Eric, do we have a click engine, a remote click?
I'm the click engine
okay.
of the day.
And just to get the discussion started, and hopefully we get into the discussion with you too, a second one is here of Don Norman, who is a usability guru since 30 years, is like, I don't like recommendation services recommending me average stuff, because I guess I'm not an average guy. I just want something which is special for me. And this is kind of a critique regarding recommendation algorithms, that there might be some problems in the algorithm itself. So, for me personally, this is very subjective. When I was like 16 or 17 years old, this device created the greatest change in my music experience ever. With the Walkman, you could listen to music on the go in a city. You could do all these things which are nowadays quite normal usage. If you go to the subway or elsewhere, everybody seems to live in his own world. For us, this was really earth-shaking. And the point which was so nice about this device is that you still could use the playlists, all these wonderful mixtapes your ex-girlfriends generated for you, the hate tapes, I don't know what. There's even a very nice book about the whole mixtape story. So the point is, I wonder sometimes, do we still stick a lot to the past because we love these playlists and they still are in the very focus of everything? But so far, I had not this earth-shaking experience again. And if I look at my playlist now on the Apple iTunes, it's more like a so what. And I would like to discuss a little bit what Spotify, SoundCloud, and we could do to go maybe some steps ahead. Do you agree so far? Somehow?
Nobody agrees. Everybody wants to drink beer. But anyway, let me jump in with some common sense. I mean, don't we usually get like the best music recommendations from our friends? This is maybe something to discuss, and I think Marie will actually talk about this approach, since they're the latest interesting inventions on the recommendation side came, for instance, from Twitter. Twitter Music was just launched, and the idea was basically that you follow your friends and just pick up some nice music recommendations from them. That's very simple, and I think the approach that Spotify started or will actually roll out pretty soon goes into this direction. Marie, I mean, if you want to just show some of the stuff that you have, and we have to switch computers now. But there comes the man. You can continue the discussion, and we just fix the.
So we should discuss, I guess.
Right. Okay.
So SoundCloud is working with playlists too.
Well, we have sets, so that's our interpretation of playlists. Yeah, so anybody can actually create, sets of sounds they want to put together, and some artists use that to create their album playlist, but some others just to create, maybe something to play for your friends or anything. So yeah, we also do have playlists, but we're not focusing a whole lot on them. It's just like, for our users to be able to build some playlists if they need to.
Right. Okay, but as some input to this rather social recommendation idea, I'd like to, Marie, just show what Spotify has in mind on the recommendation front.
Not only what we have in mind, but also give you a short overview of what we did in the past and how the whole service developed over the past years. So I think that you're maybe all aware of how the service looks like at the moment and how it works and how you see how your friends are listening to certain tracks via Facebook or via our what we call a tracking system on the right. And I'm going to show you how this whole strategy is developing in the future and also showcase within the employer version I have on my laptop. That's the reason why we needed to change it. How it's going to be like in the future, and it will change a lot because we have seen when we looked at our users and when we looked at our product that Spotify is a great tool for everyone who knows what he or she actually wants to listen to. So searching is great, works great. You just type in what you want to listen to and you hear it immediately. But it's not so great if you are more like a lean-back user who actually wants to browse and not actively search for something. And this is really, really important for us, also from a matter of from the perspective we have to be a mainstream service. So we want to reach the mainstream audience, and not all the mainstream users actually know what they want to listen to. So what we have now of a user base is quite the early adopter user base, but we want to reach everyone in the market, everyone in Germany, everyone all over the world. And this lean-back search and browse mode is very important for us. So we developed a few other things and possibility to discover new music. You can always, of course, search for music on your own when you have an idea, but recommendation means for us that we're actually providing new things to our user. So what we did in the past is that we had this section called Friends and Sharing and Social Conversations. So this is what you know from Facebook, and this is what you know from the right side of the client at the moment. So you see what your friends that you have from Facebook and that you are following right now are listening to at the moment. A few examples of this. For example, if you follow Bruno Mars at the moment, you will see what he's listening to. This is a kind of a global example, but of course we have like German artists, we have German media who are actively listening on Spotify, and you can see in a live experience mode what they are listening to at the moment. Then we have something else in place that we call professional curation. And professional curation is being done by apps within Spotify. So apps are like little programs, just like an iPhone, which one you can install in the client. And those apps help to to recommend new stuff and also to give an overview of what songs we have in the catalog. So a few examples of this are, for example, label apps, let's say from Pius or maybe Universal. Then we have apps from artists like Blur, from other magazines like Rolling Stone, and also some playlist partners like Tunigo, who was just acquired by our company as well. And then there's the last part, which we think is even more important and which is also based on algorithms, which we call intelligent recommendation. That means that we are looking at interesting stuff that we learn from our users. That means, for example, what do users listen to that other users listen to as well? So the so-called Amazon recommendation, I would say. And then we look at what are people listening to and maybe try to get them into buying tickets as well or buying merchandise. So I will show you a small video of how this will look like in the very near future. So this hasn't been rolled out yet, but it's going to be there very soon. No, it's not. One second.
Do you need a, doesn't go online? Help!
Müssen wir skippen? We have to skip it, unfortunately. So I tell you with a slide what it's going to be like. Social discovery means that we're going to have an endless feed of recommendation stories. So what could a recommendation story be? That could, for example, be a new release that one of your favorite artists has just released. Or it could be a playlist that one of your friends you're following has shared. Or it could be an opportunity to buy a ticket for a concert from an artist that you may like. And all these social feeds and social stories will pop up under new, we call it What's New page. I will show you in a minute. And also these stories will pop up as notifications, for example, on as a push notification on the iPhone or maybe as a push notification within the client. I'm going to show you this in real time. So this is my Spotify profile. It looks a bit odd because I'm listening to a lot of crappy pop music, as you will see. And this means...
We see the universe, which is also beautiful, but... Let me see. Why doesn't this work? Is the monitor problem? Yes. This looks better. Okay. Now find the right window. Okay.
Okay.
It looks good.
Yeah. So this is what we will have in the future instead of the what you may know the What's New carousel with the records on. This will completely go away, and instead of that, we will have these social stories. Looks a bit odd with this layout. Looks better normally. So what I can see here is that I've heard a song from Khalees and it's recommending me a song from Madonna because it's similar to that from an algorithmic view. But also I see that my friend Matthias Kranz has shared a song which you would see on the right if it was possible. And below of that, the system recommends me a new release of The Indelicates because I listen to Butcher Boy, which is similar to that according to a system. And you will also have the possibility, for example, if you're at the moment listening to the Lumineers, see if it works, and you browse through the feeds, you can always check whether you might like a certain song, but you don't actually have to click on it, so you have like a preview function. And you can do this as long as you want. And if you like it and maybe say, okay, I want to listen to that later, I don't want to disturb my listenings at the moment, but maybe save it for later, I can save it to my playlist. Then there's, of course, third-party input as well. So we have reviews from Pitchfork, for example, for Phosphorescent here. Or I have playlist recommendations for songs that I've already listened to, which are all featured in a certain playlist. And then there's, of course, ticket recommendations as well. Let me check if there is one at the moment. So this is like an endless feed. You can do this for weeks or years if you want to. Well, it doesn't look like as if I have a ticket recommendation at the moment, but I could, if I have listened to a song or artist recently, which is now being on tour, the system would suggest to me that I could buy a ticket and go to the show and share it to my friends and ask them to come with me. So this is how it's going to be in a couple of weeks, I can say. So the whole recommendation system of Spotify will develop very quickly and into this, what we call social discovery. I think that's it.
Cool. So, thanks, Marie, for this little demo. So this is beta, and it'll be coming like in a couple of weeks. That's what you said, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about, or I think also Christian talked about the filter bubble problem. And what we had in discussions before was like, if you always like get great recommendations from your friends and the friends of your friends, which are sort of culturally related and are part of your social environment, could be a trap, because this won't help to get actually new input, or how we call it, there's maybe a disruption needed in this social recommendation stream. So what's the solution to that?
Yeah, I mean, this problem is well known. We know it from Amazon, we know it from Last.fm. You have these feedback loops and biases. Nothing new comes in with such a system. The long tail, the poor independent artist will never end up in a playlist, because everybody is adding the stuff of friends and celebrities who are always fishing in the same pool. So this is a kind of the very strong argument against it. But I mean, it's fair enough if you attract a mainstream market. You have to ask, what are people listening to? So this is rather a kind of philosophical question. Do we need algorithms which are fair and objective to each independent artist and are based on something else? So for me, as an academic and doing science, the answer is pretty much clear. We favor algorithms who are completely objective and rely on musical facts and try to get the user into an experience exploring this by himself. But I'm not the owner of Spotify. I don't have to drive a commercial company. So nothing against these algorithms, but there are the ups and downs.
So is this, does this model mainly focus on a mainstream market, or would you say like there's also like hope for the long tail, so to speak?
Well, it always depends on an individual user, who and whom he wants to follow. So if I choose only to follow Children of Bodom and Rock Hard, I get only recommendations by these, I say, niche magazines or bands. So there will never be a Rihanna popping up in my feed. So it's always my own choice who I want to follow and whom suggestions I want to have in my feed. So it's always, of course, I have to know the ones that I want to follow from somewhere.
This is exactly the point. If you try to somehow educate people, you can't, you know. And I mean, the independent guys are very happy because they can follow each other and never drop something in from the mainstream which could be interesting, and vice versa. This is kind of a very strict philosophy. Either you go this direction or into a new one, which may be only in the labs so far.
Amelie, thank you.
I don't think it's only in the lab, honestly. So on SoundCloud, we've been trying to bring discovery and serendipity to people. So trying to focus on making sure that they can discover new things, things that are trending or getting some traction on the site. And that's what we do with the Explore page. And then also making sure that when they get stuck or when they are on a sound and they don't know what to listen to next, we suggest some sounds to listen to that are somehow similar, but in terms of sound properties and not necessarily in terms of user properties. Yeah,
you use the good old sound similarity again. That's interesting.
No, not necessarily, no, but we use a lot of things for that. But it's more connecting sounds rather than necessarily people, yeah.
Just
should I demo
quickly
that?
get the next the other machine online again. Just go on.
Sure. Yeah. So I agree. I think I think we need kind of both. We should be also making sure that people get more of what they like, but also probably sometimes make some discoveries, and that doesn't mean that it needs to be always in the long tail, but the long tail can be nice as well. And again, the long tail could be all sorts of things. It could be slightly different genres than what you've been listening to, or completely new genres, or on SoundCloud, we also are lucky to have all sorts of audio content, non-music audio content, and maybe sometimes you'd just like to listen to a radio show or something, and then, that would just, again, be able to dig in this huge amount of content and not just having a search box to deal with.
Have you already experienced how people interact? Which kind of choice they use? Maybe rather social one or a sound-based one, because you have the opportunity to track the users with their interactions.
Right, we've been starting to look into that. Not my team directly, so I cannot share any results of that. But we were really interested in that as well. Yeah. Would
you like do your little demo case?
Yeah, sure. All right. So I'd like to demo Explore and some of the other recommendation features at SoundCloud. So I already said some of that, but I want to emphasize on the fact that in my team, like we call the discovery team, we deal with search, explore, and recommendation. And so it might be a bit strange, but actually search was the first starting point, because we actually need to make sure that people actually get what they're looking for at first, which is not always easy. So making sure that all the search results are relevant for the users and for each and every user. And from there on, we actually decided to also work on Explore, so this possibility of discovering new things and then recommendations. So not even having to dig into any sort of page, but getting the recommendation straight in your listening experience already. So I think I'm going to switch to the live demo if we can do that. Yes, okay. So, I don't know if I need to reintroduce SoundCloud, but it's the world's largest social sound platform. And again, I insist on that we don't just do music, we have all sorts of sounds, and that means also non-music content, radio shows, podcasts, and everything you can imagine, from also your friends sharings their everyday live sounds and so on. So this is the page you get when you are not logged in. So I'm gonna log in. All right, and then so as a user, and all users are the same for us. So you could be an artist, a very famous artist, or just someone that is more into the listening experience. You can always have actually share your own sounds. So record them and share them on this page. So this page, this is my own page, and I am not a heavy user of the recording functionality because I don't do that kind of thing. But I have a few things in there which are songs that I've recorded myself, like this one, or songs that I've reposted from other people. Here is a sound from one of my colleagues, Paul, that recorded a sound from the Berlin Geekets Hackathon. And so the concept is that, and I don't know if I can actually make that any better. Oh, wow. Is that, so you have this upload function where you actually record or choose files that you upload, and then you can share anything you need in there. But that means also that if you're a much more famous artist, like Snoop Dogg here, or Snoop Lion, new name, you have much more traction on your site, on your page, and so this is your artist page as well. And then you actually indeed have, let me try to see if we have more down there. For every sound, you have actually a sound page as well. And this is where I can actually show one of the functionalities. So the recommendation, one of the recommendation functions we have on the site is the related sounds. So once you're done with one sound, listening to one sound on one sound page, like here, you would actually switch directly to those sounds, not even like noticing it at first probably. And those are sounds that we think are related and you should probably listen to next after that sound. So that's a good way of not getting stuck in your listening experience and discovering new things. But more interestingly, what I would like to show today is our explore page. So let me find that. And so the principle of explore is that you could be unsure of what you want to listen to now, no artist in mind specifically, no sound in mind, and you just want to listen to something new. So we have this page where we have all sorts of categories. Again, music and non-music content, so musical content on top and then non-musical content here. And you can decide on one specific category, for instance, rock here, and then you would have subgenres in there, or in subcategories in the non-music things as well. And if you go in there, then for each subcategory or category, you have a bucket of sounds that you can listen to, like here, and flips through. So, and those sounds are the sounds that are trending on SoundCloud. And by trending, we don't mean all these like big sounds that everybody is listening, and that are getting like big artists. Like I would say, if Madonna releases a new sound, it would have a lot of traction, of course. But we also want to show those like suddenly sounds that are getting attention and that are not necessarily listened by everybody, but are getting a lot of attention suddenly. Then they would automatically be on that page, because all that is automatically curated by algorithms and not at all by people. So so trendiness detection is the basis of those algorithms.
Excellent, thank you so much. So trendiness as a factor, what does the lab guy say about this recommendation criteria?
Yeah, again, it's about how you implement trendiness in the algorithm, so in the mathematics. It's like, is it a very obvious core thing, like the stuff who is getting a lot of traction in a short amount of time, this one will be the first to be presented, or will it be more fine-grained and looking to, I don't know, peaks in very, very small amounts of time? So I could foresee, and Amelie for sure too, thousands of possibilities how to implement the algorithm. And this algorithm is then driving the users to pick up stuff or not. So the responsibility is in the team who is developing the algorithm.
Right. Yeah, but again, we are not like curating that by hand. So yeah, I agree. I mean, we've been tuning those algorithms a lot, experimenting to see, yeah, if it should be short period of times or much longer ones. And yeah, we've been still working on this, to be honest. And I agree, you get very, very different results depending on that. But yeah, our concept was just that to give something fresh to the user, and that's what we want. That's also why we refresh that a lot, because we want people to, each time they go to that page, even if it's 1 hour later, they should get something new and something that they would like to listen to.
And trendiness, how would you actually generate like this recommendation based on trendiness, or what would be the approach if you hear what SoundCloud is doing at the moment?
Well, we have something that we call the Spotify top list, of course, that just simply charts of what...
Which is based on place.
Which is place, but also, of course, within playlists we see that if a track is featured in a lot of playlists and a lot of other influencers pick it up, it's of course more a human and other approach, but we see these trending topics as well. But we don't measure it at the moment, and we don't really bring it out to the user.
Would that be an interesting feature for the future?
You have to ask our developers about that.
Okay, developers.
I guess so.
And I was wondering, since SoundCloud is rather, or used to be like a platform for creators, I think that how it actually was rolled out, or was the initial idea to share your own productions, for instance. Is this like a reason why you have different recommendation criteria?
So no, we don't have different recommendation criteria. So we want all creators to have their sounds found and discovered. So we don't bias anything. All creators are equal, even the very small artists out there, because yeah, we want them to be recognized as well. So yeah, the concept is that we want every listener to find interesting things and every creator to get their sounds found as well. Yeah.
Is there a conflict? Like, for instance, I mean, you rolled out your new user interface, and I've been told or read that, for instance, there also came some criticism from the creator side, saying, okay, this is much more listener-focused now. It has changed a lot. You can't see the comments as well if you've seen it beforehand.
Yeah, well, honestly, I don't work on those features specifically. I still think that, yeah, so the creators are still very important to us. It's still one of our focus, but it's true that we also want the listeners to be happy and enjoying the experience as well, yeah.
Right, so how does, again, like, I'm coming back with the same question, but how do we get the disruption into this system, like the surprise effect?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, to some extent, you still have surprise because you could discover things that you don't know about in genres that you still enjoy a lot already. Yeah, I think it's a step towards serendipity, but you can probably even have more, like, if a sound is not trending, then it wouldn't appear there. And it could still be a very surprising and interesting sound to listen to, so.
Most definitely. Should we have a look into the lab?
Yeah, but you have to change again, I think.
Okay, yeah, I do the change.
So I had been criticizing the other approaches, telling if you rely on people, you might be not objective enough. If you rely on algorithms, maybe the developer is not objective enough. So at least I should present another approach. So we don't need this. So I called it the play graph, so get rid of the playlist. Assume a user which is willing to be active, and then you can do something. There is a data collection which is called the linked open data, and there you have millions of facts about songs, artists, bands, movies, actors, whatever. And all these concepts are related to each other by a very simple mechanism, which is like a subject is related to an object. For example, here you see that Thomas Mars is the lead singer of Phoenix. Phoenix is a band who is friends with Air. Air is related to Orange. The tour manager of Orange was Etienne de Crécy, and so on. And as you can see, if you start at a certain point, you can travel through this entire graph for hours, for a lifetime. So actually, we use this graph and put it into the machine, and we built a little demo system which is called HORST. HORST is short for Holistic Recommendation and Storytelling Technology, just to get HORST. And I have some examples, and I need your playlist, Eric. So, since we are talking about music, we should play more music.
That's right.
Is it already running?
Of course not.
Eric, you are such a moderator.
Here you go.
Do we have sound? But it's the wrong song, Eric. What's up here?
You selected it.
No, there is something running in the background. Some Spotify stuff.
Hold on.
Or some SoundCloud stuff.
It's probably SoundCloud, yeah.
or your private internet radio, whatever. Yeah, much better.
With SoundCloud.
Where are we?
It's interfering.
So where's PowerPoint? Here's PowerPoint.
Can't hear you.
So this is Daft Punk. It's an old tune from an old album, and then we have, where is it? This is one of Phoenix when they have been very young, like 10 years ago or so, from the first album. It was called If I Ever Feel Better. And the point is, just by contrasting these sound examples, I listened to both of them. And the point is there somehow a relation in between these two artists which might, bring some surprising new facts to me and engage myself into something different. And here, for example, we automatically create this structure here, and you can see that, damn, my God. Wow.
Little snitch.
Wow. You see, Thomas Bangalter is member of Daft Punk, and he was member of Darlin. I have never heard of Darlin before using this tool. And Brankowitz is a member of Phoenix, and he was member of Darlin too. And then I was checking a little bit, and indeed, when these guys were younger and meeting in Versailles and having their first bands, they already played together in this band. And it could be a hint to me to say, come on, let's check what Darlin is about. Maybe it's a mixture of the sound I like already. So I have a different example. I don't know if you got this media campaign of Daft Punk. They are releasing their new album by the end of May, and they put these wonderful video documentaries with all these legendary producers like Giorgio Moroder, and this guy actually. If you have more sound, we can hear it. You hear a funky guitar playing, and it was done by Nile Rodgers. So I might ask, is there a relation between Nile Rodgers and this Daft Punk tune I played before? And again, you can see, okay, Nile Rodgers has been performing the funky guitar on so many tracks. He played it for this David Bowie tune, Let's Dance. And then suddenly we leave this David Bowie area, and we see the Robot Rock song was sampled in a recording called Come Again. And this one contains samples of Under Pressure, which is a song of David Bowie. So you can argue, yes, but come on, this is a very strange story. We start with this funky guitar player and the funky electro-funk of Daft Punk, and then we end up somewhere with the David Bowie song with samples. But we don't know what kind of user we could expect. Maybe there are some freaks out there who are exactly into this. Something different. So, if you listen to it, it's a very similar bass line. You got it? It's like bum, bum, bum. And then in the good time thing, it's like ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da. And in the other example, it goes like ba-da, ba-ba-da-bap. And here we are by Another One Bites the Dust. And I had both tunes in my playlist back in those times. And if I now make a lookup, how is Another One Bites the Dust related to Good Times, besides this funky bass line? Our horse tells us, okay, this is a song by Queen. They did other stuff, like the Republica tune, Bohemian Rhapsody. I heard they sing it sometimes, or
They sing
last
it
year.
here from time to time, or actually every year.
And in the end, both songs ended up on a release which is called Black House and Soul. Strange enough, but such things happen. Another one.
Is this the real
Okay, here is it.
Coming up later.
Yeah. This is actually a tune of DJ Cozy, a Berlin-based guy, and he did a feature
Hamburg.
album. So if you, as an artist, if you do a feature album, you pick up, your best friends, co-producers of former times, great singers, and you create an entire album by creating songs with these guys. And this is what exactly DJ Cozy did. And he did one song with Dirk. And I mean, Dirk, he's Tokotronic. He's Hamburger Schule. How does this relate to Berlin experimental deep house?
They are from Hamburg. DJ Kotze is from Hamburg.
Really?
I swear. So
Excellent.
So the question is answered. They are from the same city.
Right. And what about Aerobic? Yeah, so Horst is much smarter than me, because as you can see, the connection before this release, it was the case that already Cozy did with Aerobic when they have been together with Fishmob, this remix of Jackpot, and this is a Tokotronic song. So if you are hooked to the actual album of DJ Cozy with Dirk, you might get onto this Jackpot Aerobic remix too. And this is the entire trick. Maybe I can show something funny. If you are interested in Wildecker Herzbuben and 9 Inch Nails, just to see if our horse does something, even in this case, there is a relation. So I don't have sound examples in this case, but I mean, they performed Sierra Madre del Sur. It was on the Oktoberfest hits, where 99 Luftballone was on, and there's this English version called Red Balloons, and this guy here, who was an additional member of 9 Inch Nails, played the bass. So the point is, there is no algorithmic magic in. I mean, for us, it's very tough to navigate this graph. It's like 9 millions of these nodes and 22 millions of these edges, and it's like sitting in main memory, like 2 to 3 gigabyte. So we have to do a little bit of stuff. But it's not so much about tweaking the trending parameter or relying on the social playlist by other guys. It's just by getting in this open data, which is out there, and then playing around with it. So this is our answer to put another component into the entire play of how to create recommendations. And as I was saying in the beginning, I think it's very essential. There is not one solution. It's really about what data do you have, how might you design your interface to get it very emotional to create really a good user experience. And this is done great by Spotify, it's done great by SoundCloud, it's done great by us, but not for the entire world. You have just to see certain use cases, certain people, and this seems to me much more complicated than we think at the moment. And actually, for me, yeah, very traditional experience is king. If you look at the picture, you see a 12-inch, and you see me quite happy, and I'm sitting in a bar, and there's beer in the background, and I'm kind of recommending with thumbs up this 12-inch vinyl. Yeah, because this is creating for me a very special experience. And I guess we have to work harder on these issues. So the discussion is open.
Great, thanks. So we have another 10 minutes to go. I was just signaled. So I think we also would like to involve you guys into the discussion. Should we open the Q&As at this point?
Is it on? Yeah. I'd like to ask you how do you fill your system with your data? I mean, who was the band leader of whom and who? I mean, because this thing is because SoundCloud had this trendy algorithm to detect trendiness by short periods where some plays were played. But how do you do it? Because you have to sit on your desktop and fill in all the new little bands.
I was not precise enough on this point. This LOD, linked open data thing, is a certain format which computers can read, which is collecting open data which is around. For example, there is a machine-readable form of Wikipedia, which is called DBpedia. And as you can imagine, if you go to Wikipedia, to Phoenix, you find the entire band page with all the facts. And this is the computer-readable form with having all these so-called triples, like subject, predicate, object. And this is also available at MusicBrainz, at Freebase, and we are just using some of these bubbles, but it's already 9 million nodes, 22 million edges, and yeah, we have to see what we can do with our research budgets.
And if I may, I don't think that the long tail is out there in those data sets yet. I mean, right? That's the problem. So it's really interesting, and I agree. I think this is kind of the future of music recommendation. But yeah, some new artists wouldn't have anything referenced out there or not searchable that easily, and so they wouldn't be in the system either.
So my problem with some of this music, I use Spotify. I very much like it, and sometimes I get lost because there is such a big space of recommendations and what I could choose. And do you have something in mind, like a personalized factorization, so that I can go in this direction or in this direction, but I kind of can see what the different factors for my music are?
I'm not sure if I understand correctly, but I would answer it that we offer like an ecosystem of recommendations with 3 different pillars. So you can choose if you want to be, if you want to have recommended music based on algorithms, or if you want them on a follow function, or if you simply just want to see what your friends are listening to. So these are the 3 options you have, and you can always scale these options to your needs. And of course, you can always don't use any of these. You can always search for music however you want it to be like back in the days.
I think... Oh. Do you hear me? Okay, what I want is, in a certain situation, I want to narrow down these recommendations just to some specific direction that I'm interested in. So I don't care about all recommendations at a certain point in time, because I just want to listen to certain...
You mean like in a specific genre, or?
Yeah, but a genre is like a given category, so maybe something that's more personalized.
So the point is, we have to guess who you are and in what context you are in. And we have to do this in a digital way, which means if you have been very active, we know already, for example, that you like these edges which contained samples of, okay? And maybe in the future you have kind of devices which tag your emotional response and stuff like this, and we might guess, okay, this guy is in a sad mood, and in previous times he always favored this kind of songs with female artists, and then the system makes just a prediction. But it can be completely wrong, because if you are in deep emotional depression about your ex-girlfriend, maybe you like to reinforce this statement and you want to have so sad songs, the saddest songs ever. And maybe the system says, this guy is so depressive, you know, he needs something which really makes him happy. So the point is really, how much does a user want to be predicted and giving up his free will? Or how much time is he willing to spend on interaction? And this is, for me, the most important question for future interfaces. How much will be done automatically without asking you, quite effective? Or how much are you willing and not lazy to do something?
Right, but I think it's also a good point because there is a lot of research being done on context and using the context information, and time is one of them. So if we don't know anything about your context, we at least know which time of the day it is where you are, apparently, and then maybe we can infer that you are commuting to work, or you are jogging, or you are just waking up, and that kind of thing, and then recommend things based on that. Yeah, so that's one direction that we haven't covered here, but that is also research a lot, I think. I don't know if there are actual products using that a lot yet, but yeah, it's getting there.
I think we have time for maybe one more question, then we are through. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, I take this as a no. So should we try to do a little summary? No, it's boring. We all want to go and drink beer, but still, I'd say as long as these new technologies are not fully implemented and deployed, I mean, and actually one point that I wanted to add to Horst, as long as Horst doesn't tell me why he actually gives me that certain recommendation, I think we will still will have to stick to our own research capabilities, and that brings us back to Christian and Oka, I guess, but they are gone already. Any final comments in this round?
I have to think a bit.
No, I think the users are fine so far. We always have this kind of discussions about the poor long tail, the poor independent artist, and for spending my leisure time, I'm independent artist too, but I don't care too much if people work on algorithms to do this. It's always, yeah, I'm not sure. We like to do this kind of research, but I don't know if it's such a overwhelming problem for the everyday people. They use Spotify, they use SoundCloud, these are big successes. I don't know yet.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point because we probably are listening to a lot of music every day, but there are people that just listen to a few tracks or a week and that kind of thing. So we should also keep that in mind, that we need to accommodate for the different use cases, and not everybody needs to discover new music every day. It might actually be overwhelming for many people to do so, and some people just want to listen to stuff they really like and over and over. So we also need to keep that in mind, actually.
Yeah. I really love the horse idea a lot, and it's very entertaining as well. But I think that's maybe more for really geeky people, and most of us, or most of mainstream users that we want to approach, are maybe more interested in simply a workout playlist they want to turn on, and they don't know why this is being recommended to them. They just simply want to listen to some music. That's it.
All right then. Let me say thank you to Amelie, Stefan, and Marie, and of course to Andrea and the Republica organizers to have us here tonight. And if you want to, we will continue this discussion also with other people at the Berlin Music Week coming up in September. And if you want to have some hand-selected music later on, I'm going to play records with Andrea here at the Refill Bar for your amusement. Thank you very much for coming, and have fun.